Sports, 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 sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to Sportsball, part of the SPDM Crew podcast. We talk about sports-related topics, but we focus on you, the fan, and what you like, whether it's a sport, athlete, event, sports team, or sports-related news. This week, the hockey or the NHL season is wrapping up, and the quest for Lord Stanley's Cup will be upon us. I have said for a long time that I think the hockey playoffs are among some of the best sports that you are going to see ever, because there's so much tradition, there's so much superstition, and every minute counts in the NHL playoffs, and I love it so much. So
as long as you don't rank it above the NBA playoffs, then we'll be on good terms.
I mean, I'm an NBA fan. Like the NBA is my number one thing, but even I can't deny just the atmosphere when it comes to playoff hockey. So, and maybe I'm a little spoiled as somebody from Chicago who's won all those championships over the last 15 years or so.
Yeah. Your recent dynasty really has put you over the head.
A little bit, because it's been pretty bad. So I brought a resident hockey fan / hockey guru here to talk with me a little bit more about, the expectations are pretty high right now. So he is the creator and host of Cantina Cuisine podcast. I've got Patric Klassen back with me today. Patric, you came back. It took us a while,
it took us a long time. I think we were supposed to do this like a couple months ago when Four Nations was even starting. So
we were supposed to do this a long time ago, and I'm very sorry, but I'm so happy that, number one, you stuck with it, and two, that we finally connected so that we can talk about it right on time for the playoffs. So quick logistics. We're recording this on a Monday. The season ends this week. The goal is, after I'm done recording this, I'm going to edit it so that we could release it tomorrow. So don't have to go too terribly far into the future for this. So what Patric and I are going to do, we're going to talk a little bit about this current NHL season. We're going to talk about some highlights. We're going to talk about some playoff implications. But first, Patric, let's talk your hockey fandom, because you are currently, this is an audio podcast, you're representing your Winnipeg Jets very, very much so. So why don't we start with this? Let's talk about your hockey fandom. How did you get into hockey in the first place, and what made you gravitate to the Jets as your team for your hockey fandom?
Yeah, first of all, I want to mention I am not a hockey guru. I just like hockey, so I'm
editing all that out. So you're going to be a hockey guru for this. So tough buddy. Sorry. Man. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not sorry at all. So you're
definitely not sorry. It took us 3 months to get this filmed up, and you're just letting me just rot in the dirt.
Yep. Pretty much. I'm not sorry. So yeah.
I know. For how everything got started, our family was more of a hockey family, like in the past. Like, we're not like that much hockey. We are still hockey fans, but we don't take it like that seriously now. But at least me and my brother, we take it a lot more serious in my family. The way I got into hockey, my dad actually took my brother, and I don't remember if it was also me, but might have been to, I don't know if you remember, but the Moose was a part of the, if you don't know what the Moose are, it's a Manitoba Moose from the AHL back in the day, where they were Vancouver's affiliates. And so they took him to a hockey game there, and because Elijah said it was a fun time, and I was like, I'll actually check it out a little bit. And so I got into that a little bit. As the teams got chosen, Winnipeg Jets got, if you don't know, I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, so I mean, I'm kind of obligated to cheer for the Jets.
That's fair. So,
yeah. But when the Jets left in 1995 or 1996, one of the two, my dad ended up going with Vancouver because of the Manitoba Moose being their affiliates. And really funny little thing there is that Vancouver went to the championship in 2011, got pretty close, and then Winnipeg
they got very close. They got very close. Yeah,
probably one of the closest to any Canadian team that we've gotten so far to the playoffs, except like maybe I wouldn't even count Edmonton, because Edmonton wasn't even that good. So, but yeah, And then again, Winnipeg actually came after those playoffs, so it kind of had a good transition for our family to transition back to Winnipeggers. And then, fun fact, we didn't actually got the Manitoba Moose back. We actually got I don't know if you remember, the St. John's Ice Caps were the first ever Winnipeg 2.0 affiliates.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, it was a fun little thing there, but then we obviously got the Manitoba Moose back, like I think 2014, 2015. But
Nice.
for myself, I was obligated to cheer for Winnipeg because I'm a Winnipegger, so that's pretty much how it is.
Mm.
As for, I do actually have a second team, which
Okay.
I used to have. I used to be like 50-50. I'm kind of a little bit more to cheer for Jets, but I still am cheering for this one. And it's all because of my uncle. So I have an uncle. I go to church almost every weekend. But in the past, my uncle and us went to the same church, and my uncle liked the Toronto Maple Leafs. And so he kind of not he didn't bully me into it, but my parents think that he bullied me into liking the Leafs. And now they are frustrated with me for the rest of their lives because I'm a Leafs fan. So
Well, I mean, yeah, I can see where they're coming from with that, but also
well, I mean,
they're
I literally saw a clip. I don't know if you watch the Habs fan network, HVTV, I think that's what it's called.
okay.
A very popular Instagram handle, which I follow and I love. They put up some good content there. They had an interview when the Leafs came to town for their Montreal game. And they approached a kid who had the Leafs jersey, and then the rest of the family was all Montreal Canadiens fans. And
Oh,
I think
okay.
they had a funny interaction there. I forget what the kid said exactly, but it was like, suck on it, dad and mom. So I think that was pretty funny. So I'm a little bit more into how that got going and a little bit into how I am right now. What else did you want me to talk about?
So, just so that's one
That,
question I had is, who are your teams? How did you become affiliated with them? So,
yeah, yeah.
so that answers that. Any fun memories or any like of any particular games that you've gone to see or got to watch on TV that really stand out to you in your fandom? Or it doesn't have to be a game, just like any moments. Like I can assume, now correct me if I'm wrong, I can assume that the first game back when Winnipeg, or when I think it was Atlanta moved from Atlanta to
Yeah,
Winnipeg,
to
back to
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, I'm sure I'm sure that game was, those that first season, I'm sure was just fantastic just to even have Winnipeg Jets hockey back. But
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. So any
Well, I
any
mean,
highlights in your fandom in terms of, you could go Maple Leafs or you can go Jets. It's up to you. Or you could do both.
I'll do a little bit of a mixture. For Winnipeg, I do remember their first game, like in the city when they were playing, not against Montreal, but when they were playing against Columbus at the time. That game was crazy. It was a 6-1 win versus Columbus in Winnipeg. We had a really, like, it was really fun. Buffalo was just hurting people left, right, and center. That was probably one of our biggest stars of the day, Dustin Byfuglien, probably one of the best defensemen to ever play in the NHL in this day and age. So I'm not very sad he's retired, but it is what it is. That game was special. We didn't. I don't think we even got to watch the Montreal game. I did get to see the highlights of it afterwards. It was awesome to see Winnipeg score their first goal and everyone else just like really happy about it. My first ever game I went to wasn't the Moose. The first one was it the Moose one or was it the actual one? I think my first ever hockey game I went to was a Brandon Wheat Canes game, but my first ever like NHL game was when the Wild came to town in 2014, I think. It was an awesome game. We got the 300s above the home net, but it got to overtime, and we got to see Byfuglien do an awesome breakaway. So that was pretty cool, and it Jets won 2-1 in overtime. So that was awesome. Some other memories. That first playoff run was awesome, but that second 2018 playoff run was so special, man. Like
Mhm.
I cannot tell you like how many like playoff whiteout outdoor watch party games I've went to and how crowded it was. I don't know if you remember back in the day when we had like the party in like not Portage Avenue, but like between Graham and where True North Square is right now.
Mhm.
And we had about up to like 30,000 people, and it was the second round against Nashville. So
Oh,
it only got up from there. It was an awesome time, and I don't know if you've ever been to Winnipeg, where you've been to between the stadium and where True North Square is now. It's very skinny.
mm.
It got to the point where we had to like push another like TV projector to another street that was close by because it got so big. And so we had one of them like facing Portage Avenue where the main stage was, and then we had another one where it was like facing the other streets, like I think it was Graham. And then we had this awesome like big prop where it was the Bud Light goal horn. So every time the Jets scored, we were broadcasting. It broadcasted the Sportsnet stuff, but every time the Jets scored, we had the Bud Light like go off, and it was awesome.
Nice.
I think a fun memory with that was obviously like one of the best fans I have like ever seen, and one of the best props I've ever seen. Besides Wallace and Gromit, I don't know if you saw that post or not. It was Darth Vader helmet. There's a guy. I don't remember who the guy was, but he was wearing a white Jets helmet, which a white Darth Vader helmet was almost this exact jersey, but just not Patric Laine. Shout out to Patric Laine, by the way. But yeah, it was awesome to see that fan and just how fans are creative with their stuff. And like I said, we had Wallace and Gromit who just came out recently for the Jets, so that was awesome. Other memories from Winnipeg, I'll get to Toronto in a second. 2021, where we were facing against Edmonton. That was a crazy series because Edmonton ended up being it actually wasn't Edmonton. Toronto was the 1 seed at the time. It was Edmonton as the 2nd seed, and then Winnipeg as the 3rd seed. That whole series as a whole was like insane because Connor McDavid and Mick Draisaitl didn't even score for like 2 games in the series, and so we watched both of those games. Game 3, I don't know if you remember, we were down 4-1. Got a crazy penalty on Logan Stanley. The only thing that Logan Stanley was even useful for was in 2021. We were having a lot of fun there. And then we came back 4-2, 4-3, 4-4 in a matter of like minutes. It was awesome. And then we got to go to overtime where Ehlers, it was his first game back from the playoffs because he had an injury. And so he got to score the overtime winner. And then we also had game 4 where they were down 3-2, and then they score. And I forget who it was. I think it was either Scheifele or Lowry, one of the two, who ended up tying the game. And then we went to triple overtime, and I stayed up till 2 a.m. to watch that game with my family. So that was awesome. I then got to go to a whiteout game in 2023, where Vegas was the home team this time, not Winnipeg. We got demolished in that series, but I got to watch a game 3 where Winnipeg was down 4-1 again. But we came back, and Sandberg dished it out in front to, I forget who it was. It was one of the newer players for Vegas, but they won 5-4. It was an awesome game. If you ever get a chance, if you're around in Winnipeg at the time of the playoffs, go to a whiteout game and wear white. It is an awesome experience. I'm actually going to get to go to my brother to the first game of this year's playoffs, whoever we face, either Minnesota, St. Louis, or Calgary. We'll get to that in a little bit, but it's going to be my brother's first ever whiteout game, but yeah, that first whiteout game where we were down and just came back, it was awesome. It was electric. The fact that we went to double overtime was awesome. I wish we would have gotten that win, but I mean,
still an experience nonetheless, right?
Still an experience, exactly. And then I have, I think, one more Jets history memory. So I'm not a season ticket holder. I go to individual games because I can't afford that money right now. And I got very, very, very lucky during last season. I think I still have that video that they created. I got to be a part of a playoff hype promo for Winnipeg Jets for a video, and they were doing it inside Canada Life Center, and they were recording for like 2 hours, and it was just crazy. We had the fog going off, the lights were down. They had some really cool shots. I have the video. I just don't know where it is. I can send it to you later, but it was an awesome experience and once in a lifetime experience too. We had a Chewbacca there. We had the Darth Vader helmet. He came back.
Nice.
Had a couple other creative stuff. Winnipeggers are really creative for the whiteout stuff. But yeah, it was awesome, and I really got glad I got to experience that.
If you find that promo video, please send it my way because that would be cool to see.
Yeah, I did. I think I got like 1 second in it, but it was still awesome to record and just an amazing. And it was an amazing experience too overall. So I was really happy to be a part of that. So thank you, Winnipeg Jets, if you're listening. Thank you so much. I'm very appreciated that I got to be a part of that.
Nice.
For Maple Leafs, a negative memory. The fact that I had to be a part of the Boston Bruins back-to-back playoff series, going to Game 7 and always losing, even though we didn't even try our hardest, but we still ended up going to Game 7 anyway. Still sucked.
Yeah,
And
I can imagine that's not fun.
No, it's not fun by any means.
No.
But then we got the back-to-back series versus Tampa. We lost the one in 7, even though we had home ice advantage. I was very pissed off at that.
Mhm.
But the year after that, 2023, that was one of the most memorable moments from my life. Because we just, we were killing it in Game 6. And we had the chance to kill them off. So I obviously wanted to be done. And then we got to go to overtime. Tavares scored an amazing goal, and Toronto got past to the second round for the first time in 14 years or something like that. It was an awesome game to be in, and I didn't get to be in the game. I got to watch it at home, which was awesome. I got to brag to my family about it because they were like, Lightning in 7, Lightning in 7. They're gonna do it again. They're gonna choke every year, and so that was awesome. And that was the final good memory that I had with Sheldon Keefe as the head coach. Because last year with Boston, never do that again, Leafs. Come on. Boston's always had our tail. Luckily, they're pretty much suck. They pretty much suck now, which is good. But
that's the spirit.
Hey, I'm just happy that Boston's currently at the time of this recording last in the East, behind Philadelphia, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and the New York Islanders. They're going to finish below New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins. That is insane.
Well, I was reading something recently that this is going to be the first time ever in the NHL that the U.S. original 6 teams, none of them are going to make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. And then we also have the first time in a long time that Pittsburgh's not even going to make it to the playoffs. And then it's crazy how much of a crazy season this has been. I'm looking forward to talking about it when we get there. But yeah, that's my little playoff. That's my little team history. I don't have a lot more Winnipeg memorable moments than Toronto, just because Winnipeg has just been such an underdog story since the beginning. I'm looking forward to going into a little bit more to that later. But I mean, what else can you say? We're determined. We are. We love our city. And Gary Bettman has come out there, even after these NHL reporters saying that they're going to move again because of the low ticket sales. He says that they're not going anywhere. How much more assurance do you need? Right. Everybody has just been so franked up and just tensed up that, Winnipeg's going to move again because of the low ticket sales. I'm you're forgetting that there's inflation, right?
Yeah, it's not just,
by the way.
Yeah, it's not just it's not just about, ticket prices. There's a lot of different things, and if Winnipeg has a good Stanley Cup run this season, who knows what's going to happen, right? So, plus also, is the NHL really in a place where they can just keep shuffling teams around and they can keep looking for other markets? Because what other market is there right now that needs an NHL team?
Well, I mean, Houston and Quebec would be my number 1 and 2, but after that, I think it's good for another couple years.
Yeah.
But I don't even think they're going to be able to do another expansion draft. I think it's just going to be maybe one more expansion draft. I think one more expansion draft would do the trick, but the second one has to be a move, which I don't know who would be the one to move currently, but one of the teams has to move. But anywho's, that's my little thing. I'm happy with this season, especially. We're going to talk about it when we get to talk about season preview and just everything else. And I'm just very excited to get to playoffs now. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So last question I have for you about your fandom. Favorite players, during your fandom, who's been your favorite players on the Jets and who's been your favorite players on the Maple Leafs? But also, I'm going to give you a third option as well, just your favorite players in general too.
Okay.
Because that's definitely an option as well. I'm sure there's plenty of people that you're fans of, even if they're on the opposite team. So I will let you take this question however you want. Favorite players, either on either of your teams or just in general.
Okay. I will go with 2 players in the past for Toronto and Winnipeg, and then 2 current from Toronto and Winnipeg as well. So we'll go through a couple. We're going to go through a bit. For Maple Leafs, we got my little shout outs there. Shout out to Kadri and who was my other one I was gonna do? Leafs legend Joe Thornton. I love Joe Thornton. I mean, then Nazem Kadri, I think he's having a great season in Calgary so far, but him with the Leafs was awesome. I was very sad that he left, but business is business.
Yeah.
So I'm not too mad about that. More on Winnipeg, though. Andre Pavlik was kind of a little bit underrated back in the day. Like, he was something special. I don't know if you remember the 2014-2015 season where Winnipeg made the playoffs for the first time. He was outstanding. He put up like a .920 save percentage with the team that, like, their defense, except for Dustin Byfuglien, was pretty bad. And so I loved Andre Pavlik. He was an amazing player, and I'm glad that he got a little bit of a. I hope that we get to retire his number, or I guess whatever our equivalent to a retiring numbers is. But he was an amazing. He was the one to start off our hopes of the playoffs, which is awesome.
Nice.
And our second player that started us off in the playoffs is Mr. You know who, Dustin Byfuglien. Like I said before, again, one of the best defensemen to ever play in the NHL. Even though he didn't put up a lot of points, he is just a heavy hitter. He is your go-to clutch player, which I'm very thrilled that Winnipeg ended up having. And he was one of the only defensemen that Winnipeg had that everyone paid attention to. And one of the only players that everyone ended up paying attention to anyway. So he was just so much fun. The fact that they ended off games the way that they ended off kind of sucked. But again, business is business. I don't really care too much about that. Current Leafs players, I would go with Austin Matthews, obviously, and Matthew Knies, actually. I don't want to go with Mitch Marner because Mitch Marner has not been performing to his equivalent in the playoffs, and I want to see him actually do something for once. So, yeah, I would say that, Matthews and Knies, brilliant. I love the fact that we got to bring Matthew Knies in a couple years back when we were playing against Tampa, and just the way that he performed was amazing, and I obviously have to stand out for that. And then Winnipeg current, did I go with him? No, I'm going to go with my gut. Mark Scheifele, not hometown boy, but for one of the first 2.0 players to be drafted by Winnipeg and is staying in Winnipeg for the rest of his life unless we trade him, which I hope we don't, because I want him to stay Winnipegger forever. And then Connor Hellebuyck. I mean, I'm going to get a little bit into his season and just what the heck he's doing, because he's having a Vezina and maybe a Hart season caliber season so far. So it's been awesome to see the current players and then just look back also to the old ones too, because I do miss Byfuglien and I do miss Kadri for the Leafs and Jets. But I mean, again, business is business. You just move on and you just look at who you have right now currently, and it's obviously working out for both teams. So yeah,
that is actually a great transition into, let's talk current season, and let's start with our two teams. So let's start with Jets and Maple Leafs. How has this season been for both teams?
Okay, well, I'll start with the Leafs because I think Winnipeg is a nutshell in a whole. Had a bit of a rocky start. I mean, obviously, we got rid of that stupid Samsonov. I'm really happy that he's gone. I wish they would have got rid of him sooner. Why did you make him play Game 7 versus Boston, you little nerds and little stupid... We would have won that game if it wasn't for the fact that Ilya Samsonov was in net for that stupid Game 7. It was so dumb, and I hate it very much. I understand why, because Joseph Will was injured, but still, don't play Samsonov. He was unplayable versus the Leafs in their entire fandom. But I guess he's working out in Vegas. Oh, look at that. A player outside Toronto is actually doing successful. Whoop-de-doo. It's not a surprise to anybody. Anyways, I'm mad. I'm very mad.
You're not upset about any of this at all.
I'm not. I am upset about this. I hated the fact that we lost to Boston again. It was all his fault. He was in for all our losses, and then Woll basically carried us. So it was hate. But yeah, no, we've had actually a pretty good season. I mean, we got rid of Sheldon Keefe, which I don't want to say it like that, because Sheldon Keefe has been okay with the Devils so far. But we got an actual NHL coach, which I'm happy about. And then we got an actual goalie tandem with Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz, which I think nobody could have asked for a better season with those two guys in net, because they have been outstanding. And then they finally got some defense in Chris Tanev over the free agency, which has been also a pretty good addition. Although I do think the year term is kind of a little bit more than what I would thought. But I mean, I'm happy to have him for now. It's gonna be great. I think we might buy him out after he retires. But I'm very happy that he's here. And then we also had some good deadline additions with Brendan Carlo and the like from Boston of all teams. So thank you, Boston. You were actually helpful for us.
For once. Yeah,
for once. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into Boston. I hate Boston so much. But yeah, no, we've actually had a pretty good season, and Matthews has been a little bit disappointing, but not like too much that I would be worried about. But and then John Tavares, I mean, it's also Matthews' first season with the C on, which I'm really like. It was a matter. Oh, excuse me. It was a matter of time before Matthews got the C. I'm just happy that he's got it now. And I hope that the contract that he gets with the Leafs next year is a little. Oh, wait, no, he already has a contract. Never mind. Whenever he gets that contract, whenever he is done, I hope it's a little bit less expensive, but we'll have to wait and see. Marner, just ship him out already. I'm done with him. I don't know. I wish we would have shipped him out at the deadline because he would have been actually pretty good. I wish we would have traded him to Carolina for Mikko Rantanen because I think Mikko Rantanen would have been a better fit, but you get what you get, and we'll have to live with what we got with that. Yeah, disappointments of the Leafs right now probably would be Morgan Rielly not taking a step up. He's just been this like mediocre top 2 defenseman without really much of a pairing, so I'm a little bit disappointed with Morgan Rielly about that. And then I don't think there's that much disappointment other than the fact that we don't have a bottom 6, which is kind of scary, but I mean, we gotta live with what we can. We gotta live with what we got. So we'll deal with it when we get to our series versus Senators, hopefully. But we'll have to work it out. But yeah, that's the Leafs. Winnipeg. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better season in Winnipeg. Like after what happened last season with the Jets coming back from their 2023 like crappy season, which I'm really happy that we like won the President's Trophy, which. Hooray, hoorah, Connor Hellebuyck is putting up a Vezina caliber season and a Hart nomination at least season, which, again, hurrah, I love Hellebuyck. He's been having outstanding numbers with, I think, a 924 save percentage and a 2.02 goals against average, which is top in the league on all counts. Even shutouts, he got like his 8th shutout a couple nights ago, which is awesome. Everything else is clicking. Scott O'Neill has been great as a coach. I don't think you could have asked for a more successful term. I think he might be in contention to winning the Jack Adams Award, which I hope he does. Yeah, and then everything else is just clicking. It's working right now. And the fact that we didn't really make that much big moves, like we got Brandon Tanev back in the deadline and we got Luke Shen as a depth defenseman, which I'm really happy about. But there's still one common denominator that every Jets fan has really hated for the rest of their lives. Logan freaking Stanzilla. I hate Logan Stanley. I think everybody does. If you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, everyone hates Logan Stanley. He's a 6'5" useless pylon who does nothing but hit, but the hits aren't even like that timed well. He loses the puck. He gives the opponents chances to score. He's a big disappointment. Literally big because he's 6'6". He's 6'5", giant, useless. He was supposed to be the next Buffalo, but he turned out he's the next nothing. He's useless. And like I said, the only season where he was actually useful, his best season was 2021. And he played phenomenal versus the Edmonton Oilers and the Montreal Canadiens. And that's a little stink there. So, I don't know why they're playing this guy. I feel like that there's something going on where I think I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory that it might be just because he might leak stuff if they scratch him or whatnot. It's, again, a little bit outlandish, but I don't know why they're playing him. He's useless. He's trash. He stinks. He's not... I don't know how much you know about Logan Stanley, but...
I don't know much of anything except what you're telling me, so I'm just going to take your word. I'm going to take your word for it.
You don't want him. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants him, but apparently Winnipeg is still playing him, which we still have Vio Heinola. We're kind of wasting his talents. He was supposed to be pretty good, but we wasted him. Yeah. Classic Winnipeg move. But anyway, well, yeah, we wasted talents of young people. Vio Heinola. I don't know what we're going to do with Brad Lambert. And then also Shaz Lucic, which retired recently, which I'm really sad about. But yeah, I'm happy as a Winnipeg Jets fan just get rid of Logan Stanley, please. Just get rid of him before playoffs. I want to have a chance at winning the Stanley Cup, even though we're probably going to get the President's Trophy curse, which I'm not looking forward to. But
yeah, there is a bit of an issue with that, but that's okay. Maybe Winnipeg will be the one team that bucks that tradition, even though it is.
I hope so. Mm-hmm. I really hope so. I hope that our whiteout will actually be useful, this year. Yeah. Which it hasn't been useful since 2018, but.
So we talked about how your teams have been doing. Now let's just talk about the current hockey season. And you said that it's been a really exciting season. I've got two events in particular that I want to talk about, but
Yeah.
I want to open the floor to you first. Just if you could describe this season and just kind of what has kind of stood out to you, or some highlights and just some great moments for the season.
Okay. If I would describe the season in 2 words, chaotic and disappointing. Let's start with the disappointment. Nashville, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
You get Stamkos, you get Shea, you get Marchessault, you get nothing else. You trade your future and Askarov to the freaking San Jose Sharks, and you're one of the bottom teams in the league.
Hey man, stuff like that happens.
You were
from time
supposed to be a
time.
playoff team. You were supposed to be a playoff team, and now you just ruined everything. Apparently, Barry Trotz doesn't know what he's doing. Apparently, you should have done another like YouTube kind of thing where they canceled the concert, and he probably could have striked something a little early on in the season. But Nashville season is kind of describing and a play recently after the trade deadline, they ended up scoring on themselves on a delayed penalty where Stamkos tried to dish it off to a defenseman. Defenseman wasn't there because Stamkos was losing his mind, and it just goes straight into Utah's net, and Utah ended up winning that game. If there was a play that would describe Nashville season in one like play, that would be the play.
Mhm.
Like, it is Nashville, you had a chance, and you blew it, and they just proved that you don't buy a playoff ticket.
I mean, I feel like in hockey, that is less of a thing as opposed to other sports. I feel like in basketball, you could totally do that, and in baseball, you absolutely can do
Well,
that.
yeah, you're playing with what, 8, 10 players at least?
Yeah,
So, and the Winnipeg, and then for hockey, you were playing with like 22.
yeah.
So it's not like you can't just buy Connor McDavid and expect to make the playoffs. Like we proved it here with Nashville. They bought 3 good players, which are having disappointing seasons, by the way. But either way, their system's not working. Andrew Brunette basically has his head in his ass because he doesn't know what he's doing, and just everything else is just not working out for them. I mean, they're not. I think they're bottom in the league. Let me actually see if they're actually bottom. I think they might be. I think they could be close to bottom 3 at least. Yeah, they're bottom 3. They're San Jose's at the bottom. Not surprised. Chicago's at the bottom. Not surprised again. But Nashville, you shouldn't be this low. Like, you should be at least scoring goals. But that's been your problem, is not scoring goals. So I don't know what else could describe the season in a nutshell other than the fact that Nashville has just been pretty bad. And it's just been a little bit disappointing. And then another team to throw in as being really bad. Boston. Like, finally, like, it took you guys long enough. It should have been 2023, 2024 when you guys, or whenever they won the President's Trophy. That should have been your year where you guys should have sucked. But apparently it took you 2 years. And now you have traded Allmark because you believed in Swayman, which, don't get me wrong, I understand that concept. Swayman's a young goalie. And I think it would have been I think it made a lot of sense. But now you trade him to a rival in Ottawa, which, by the way, they're doing really good right now. And now you traded Brad Marchand, you traded Brendan Carlo, and you have no top 6 anymore except for David Pastrnak still, and you guys are sucking. And you guys are bottom 4 in the league currently, underneath Seattle and Philly, Buffalo, and Penguins. If you're beneath Buffalo, like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, this is, like, unacceptable for you guys. I think, like I said, they traded Brad Marchand over the trade deadline, which was surprising to a lot of people, and especially the team that traded him. Do you know which team got him? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Florida Panthers.
That's right, Florida.
Freaking Florida got Brad Marchand out of all the teams. Florida, which is gonna be insane. Like, it's literally gonna be a rat line of Bennett, Tkachuk, and Brad Marchand. That's the rat line of the NHL, and they just made it possible. So thank you, Boston, for that, basically. And then the final team, which I think is a little bit of on the negative side, like New York Rangers. Didn't you win the President's Trophy last year? Don't you have Igor Shesterkin?
I mean, but
you traded for JT Miller of all people?
But isn't this
Casher, by the way?
Isn't this the MO of the Rangers though? Just overperform and then wildly
they won the President's Trophy.
Once. They won it once, and now
their team is the same. It's the exact same team except with a different coach.
You're the one that just said that this season was chaotic. So That's
it is, and I understand it's chaotic, but New York should have been a better team. They are eliminated for the playoffs because they can't perform to save their life. And apparently, this new coach, Peter Lavadia, who previously coached a lot of good teams, can't figure out the New York Rangers. This is the exact same team that started the season. They were doing fine, and now they're complete trash. They locked up Igor Shesterkin. They traded for a locker room cancer in JT Miller to bring him back to New York. Oh, let's bring back this previous player, even though he had some locker room cancers with Elias Pettersson. And it's just like, what the heck is your problem, man? Like, New York is just like, and then we have Calvin DeHaan come up with his statement about playing in New York and how they're not treating him with respect. Like, New York, what are you doing? Like, if this is just like a common misconception of like what this original six franchise is supposed to be. Last year, you won the President's Trophy, and this year you're nowhere near close to that. And you just let Washington make a big splash, not big splashes at the offseason, but now they're taking your place. So how does it make you feel that a 40-year-old veteran who can still score, can still skate to save his life while drinking Coke on the bench, is still, and his team surrounding him is much better than yours, even though you have a really good goaltender. So New York, get out of town. I think 3 positive teams, though, to talk about. I think I don't think there's like 3 positive, because I think everyone else is looking pretty good. I think the outlier in this playoff picture right now is Washington. Just the way that they're currently at. They're at 109 points, second in the league, 50-21-9 record with a plus 57 goal differential. Yeah, nobody was expecting this. They were in the wild card last year, the second wild card, facing off against the Rangers where they got swept. And now they're second in the league, which is insane. I mean, they traded Kemper to LA for basically PLD, which, again, I'm pissed at him because he was a Winnipegger that didn't really care. So, screw you, PLD. But I guess you're having a good season in Washington. But, like, I don't know, man. Like, Washington has just been surprising for me. They have been a really good team. They ended up getting Chychrun from Ottawa, which is a big splash for them. They haven't signed him yet, but I think they actually did recently. 4-year contract, I think. But, yeah. No, they've been good. They had Thompson and Lindgren as their tandem, which has been okay. Like, Thompson's been the standout out of them. But, yeah, like, they've just been they've been impressing me. They've impressed a lot of people right now. And that is something that I don't think anyone was expecting. I think they were expecting to have, again, New York to make that move. And just to be in that current situation. So having Washington just come out of nowhere and do this is, like, pretty surprising for a lot of people. I guess the last 2 teams I could probably give a little bit of a shout out to. St. Louis, like, you just got lucky because one of the biggest splashes in the coach, like, league, Boston was sucking. Who did they blame it on? They blamed it on Jim Montgomery, which, look, it was your team. It wasn't your coach. And they got a crappy, like, associate, which, again, Boston, you blew the bag, and then St. Louis, like, sorry, you can tell I'm passionate about this. They ended up getting Jim Montgomery, which awesome. Hometown boy. We'll see what St. Louis can do. We're not expecting much, but we'll see what they can do. And then, yeah, they are now in a playoff spot right now. But they're not confirmed yet because they have to figure out what Calgary's going to do because they're 2 points back from them. And if St. Louis loses tomorrow and Calgary wins, they have a chance to take their spot. Which is crazy to me that they even are close to take either of Minnesota or St. Louis. But it's going to be a crazy next couple games because we don't have a current second seed yet for Winnipeg, or a current first or second seed for the West. So we'll see how that goes. So St. Louis, you're actually doing pretty good. Jordan Binnington is not an exception for that because he's still like Jordan Binnington. So we'll just leave him alone and just don't punch him. Otherwise, he's going to come after you like the devil. And then last team, Ottawa. Congratulations, you're finally in the playoffs after you made it to 2017. Good job for getting Allmark, but yeah, good job for trading Josh Norris for Dylan Cousins. That was a pretty good deal for you, and yeah, you're doing pretty good so far. And it's finally time that you come out of the ashes and come rising up, take up Tampa's spot, and come in as one of the top 3 Atlantic teams in the league. So. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how they progress. I would expect them to go after for more defensemen next year because their defense kind of trash, except for Jake Sanderson and Thomas Chabot. But yeah, no, they've been pretty good so far, and I've been really impressed with them. And so those are my three. Those are my descriptions of how this season is crazy because they should not be here, and they are yet in this predicament, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. So it's been chaotic. Like and then there's also like the first time in NHL, not NHL history, but the first time in a long time that we didn't have an All-Star game, which is awesome. We're actually going to get to touch on that in a little bit, but yeah, no, this season's been pretty good so far, and it's been really entertaining. And I mean, recently we had that game with Montreal, and we could have clinched today, but your freaking Chicago Blackhawks had to ruin everybody's day because Danilov made his NHL debut today with a goal and assist, and you ruined his homecoming to Montreal. I'm not a Montreal Canadiens fan because they also eliminated the Maple Leafs in 2021 and eliminated my Jets in 2021, but they're still a Canadian team. I'll cheer for any Canadian team over an American team, so screw you, Columbus. I want Montreal in the wild card 2 spot to face off against Washington because I think they have a better chance to take that Washington than Columbus because Columbus, you guys stink. But you ruined our fun, Mike Hilty. You freaking Americans.
I feel like that's the story of America right now, so fair enough.
We still have the tariff, so
yep, that's
just freaking Donald Trump. Why don't you guys just impeach him? Literally.
Because you can't just impeach someone over something frivolous, but
yes, you can.
Yeah,
you can impeach him for anything.
Yeah,
You guys are about to get screwed. If our next prime minister has any guts, don't turn off your hydro for your border provinces.
Yeah.
So luckily you don't live in those.
No, I live.
But yeah, no. Like if our next prime minister, which is going to be elected coming up in the end of the month, if he has any guts, he'll threaten to turn off your hydro, and then he'll not put any tariffs on Canadians. So good luck, America, I guess. But you guys kind of pooched everything. So yeah. No, screw you, America. Screw you, Donald Trump.
Speaking of, other nations and things like that, you mentioned,
yes!
that's right. I did that segue. So
Canada.
You mentioned that there was no All-Star game this year, and in its place, sort of, the NHL did their Four Nations Challenge. And I want you to describe how was it for you watching it, and what did you think of this format going forward?
It was fun. Why'd you wait for many years to do this best on best tournament? Freaking NHLers. That's my description. Finally, we have a best on best hockey. Although we didn't have Russia here, which, Russia, you kind of screwed the pooch, but they should have implemented something else. Like maybe make them a world team or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or make them like a different team rather than Russia. That would have been awesome to see. But the teams that we've gotten, pretty good. I forgot who was. I think it was Sweden. Sweden, you disappoint me by a lot of decimal points. You should have been better, but you guys kind of screwed the pooch. Finland, you were okay. You were where everyone was expecting them to be. The highlight was Canada versus US. Obviously, because the tariffs were starting. And we got the whole Canadians booing the anthem in Montreal. The 3 fights in 9 seconds with the Tkachuk brothers and JT Miller. That was crazy. And the tournament was amazing. I was impressed. I was impressed with everyone's commitment to it because I thought it was going to be like another NHL All-Star game where they weren't giving much into it. But no, they were actually pretty serious about it, which was awesome. And the fact that we got this best on best as a little bit of a preview or a future World Cup of Hockey happening in the next couple years. And then also a little bit of a preview for the Olympics next year as well, which is going to be pretty awesome. And I'm really excited now for the Olympics. Now, if Russia is not included by any kind of mental points, then I'm going to be sad for all the Russian people out there. But Putin, you should not have done your...
I was about to say, Putin, maybe you shouldn't have, invaded a sovereign nation and continue to do that. So I really enjoyed this Four Nations style tournament. I thought that it was really a really great way just to inject some life into traditionally like a break time for the NHL because middle of the season, not a whole lot going on. and with it not being an Olympic year, plus also any like all-star games they all suck. So because they're just glorified or exposition. No, they're glorified like just pickup games. That's it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed this a lot more, and I hope that more leagues adopt something like this moving forward.
Yep. And then that championship game, like crazy. Like I am sad that you Americans didn't win it, but we deserved it. We deserved it. We deserved the win.
I was about to say you are not sad at all.
No, I am not sad. We deserved it. We deserved it. The fact that your president tuned in on a Zoom call to your team to tell your American people to make Canada the 51st state before the finals. Explicit time. Fuck you, Donald Trump.
Yes, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. So yeah, all right. So we had the Four Nations Challenge, which I thought was a rousing success, and I hope that the NHL continues to do something like that moving forward. The other big story of this season.
We got the announcement during that we're going to get the World Cup of Hockey every 2 years besides the Olympics. So I'm very excited that we're going to get a World Cup of Hockey. Where I'm sad that North America is not going to get included because I love the concept of the Team North America back in 2016. But the fact that we're going to get best on best for every 2 years, I think it's going to be pretty awesome and pretty sweet. And we're going to get a lot of people chances to play with each other, which is going to be pretty sick. I'm just crossing my fingers for Connor Bedard and McDavid as the line next year for the Olympics, but we'll have to wait and see.
As
long as Binghamton's not the goaltender, I will be very thrilled.
I know
that Canada won, but
I feel like you're going to be okay with that. I could be wrong, but I feel like you're going to be okay. But
as long as Jordan Binghamton is not in net, we'll be fine.
Got it.
We got lucky. If it wasn't for the fact that Jordan Binghamton wasn't for the fact that Connor Hellebuyck let in a fluky goal, you guys would have won. So because you guys had the better goaltender out of anybody in the league.
So the other big event that happened was Alexander Ovechkin, and
that was pretty recent too.
And he broke Wayne Gretzky's, which a lot of people thought there's all these hallowed records in sports that so many people thought are unbreakable. So, and this was one that a lot of people thought that there was no way that anybody could catch Gretzky's goals scored record. But this year, Alexander Ovechkin pulled it off. So I was watching the game when it happened, and I was ecstatic for him. So I'm curious to think, do you think Alexander Ovechkin is a worthy successor to this goals record? I'm not even getting into any debates about greatest, the GOATs in hockey or just any sport, because it's all super subjective. But are you okay with Alexander Ovechkin being the one that broke Wayne Gretzky's record?
I mean, I'm more okay with it than Wayne Gretzky looked when he was talking to Ovechkin about it. So
that is.
I think also I'll go into a little bit more of the Wayne Gretzky stuff later, but I'm really happy for Alexander Ovechkin. He deserved it. I think the fact that he signed off for another season just to do that. I am sad he's probably going to retire at the end of this season, which is going to be a little bit sad to see. But I mean, he's going out with a bang because he's been one of the reasons why this team has been so good. It's that he's just been scoring left, right, and center, even though he's like 40 years old, which is really awesome. And the Russian machine, like that nickname, it says so for itself. Like he is so good at what he does. I think the story of all of this in general is just because we got Wayne Gretzky afterwards, who looks like that he's not excited about it, but he's trying to say that he is. So screw you, Wayne, for supporting Donald Trump also, for one, and two, not being supportive of Wayne Gretzky. Because I don't know if you heard, but we had news come out a couple weeks ago that Wayne Gretzky was actually supporting Donald Trump, which is not fun for any Canadian team. So, or any Canadians in general, because he was supposed to be the Canadian GOAT, but now he's literally a GOAT because he's just stupid. So I'm disappointed, to say the least.
So, I mean, in Wayne Gretzky's defense, I don't think anybody would be excited to see their, once unbreakable record broken. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did not look excited to see LeBron James pass his record up at all. So, but he was there. He wanted to be supportive. So that's, good for him for doing that. But you're right. Gretzky did not look happy about that at all. And
He should have at least looked excited, but like he should have hid it. He didn't. But
no,
no, he
no,
just he just yeah. Like
it's,
like any hockey player or any athlete, he's a bad actor.
yep, that is fair. I will give you that. All right. So
Playoff
anything,
picture.
oh,
Or
I was going to ask, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about from a playoff stand or a NHL season standoff or point of view before we move on to the playoffs?
I mean, one other thing that I forgot to mention, shout out to Utah for making an incredible first season.
Utah.
I think Utah Hockey Club.
I did. Okay. I did want to ask you about this. So, Utah Hockey Club, yay or
Yes.
nay? Do you want them to just stick with Utah Hockey Club?
No.
Or, okay.
No. I want either Mammoths or Outlaws. I don't know if you saw, but they had a little bit of a survey going on for some of their earlier games where they were like deciding on the name. The top 3 contestants are Utah Hockey Club, which there's also a leak out there with the logo concepts. Utah Hockey Club is with a Yeti. Now they couldn't apparently get the Yeti name because of trademark reasons, so they had to replace it with the.
Well, because of the Yeti brand, I'm sure probably.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
that's stupid, but I
why
I
couldn't
get
you
that.
go with Yetis then? Like add the S. But apparently that's also trademarked too. So instead they implemented Utah Hockey Club with a Yeti and mountain kind of thing. I'll show you. I'll try to find it. I'll show you later. But that's one of the options that they were doing. The other one was the Outlaws, which I kind of like, and then the third one is Mammoths. Now I love the concept of Mammoths. I think the Outlaws sound a lot better as a name. Like Utah Outlaws sounds really classy. It sounds like an actual serious team. But yeah, no, I'm Utah. You kind of like. I'm sad that you missed the playoffs because I thought you were going to make it this year because you added some pretty good players like John Marino to your defensive depth. But I think you're going to go up from here. If you can go out and get John Gibson, which Anaheim, you are still pretty much hoarders at this point. I think they're going to be much in a better spot. I do. Speaking of Anaheim, actually, they finally changed from the flipper to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks logo. No more flipper. No more flipper. No more flipper.
No more flipper. What do you mean?
They changed the logo for the Anaheim Ducks to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks logo from the
From the
Disney
movie. From the movie, yes. I do see that because they went back to this old logo, which is good because yeah, that other logo was not good.
The only thing I'm a little bit sad about was that they couldn't go back to the original colors, which I get it, Disney. You don't want to get sued, but if this was the only workaround to it, I'm happy with it. I'm glad that we got it back. I am thrilled about it. I'm glad we don't have to look at that flipper ever again. But yeah, it's been one of the biggest shout-outs to this season. And then also another team that actually changed their logo. The LA Kings went to full out 90s with their original logo because they eliminated the badge and they got like the classic like Gretzky logo, which I'm really happy about. And they had also the classic Jets LA jerseys as well, which
nice.
So I'm really happy about that. Those are 2 positive changes to the jersey brands. I don't think there's anything that else really happened to the jersey wise, but yeah, like those 2 are like kind of big highlights for like the KI because we never really saw it coming, and yeah, we're very happy about that. And I think Fanatics is doing pretty good as a first-year starter. We'll see what they can do next year.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk playoffs because playoffs start pretty soon. There are still some things that are yet to be determined from a playoff standpoint. Not a whole lot, but still enough just to kind of at minimum give us a little bit of pause.
Preview.
Yeah, so curious from your perspective, how do you want to tackle this? Do you want to do playoff tiers, or do you want to talk about just some matchups that you're excited to see? Like who do you think's got?
I think we could do a tier list of what I'm expecting.
Sure.
I forgot to make one. I have to make something up real quick. Tier NHL. Give me 1 second here, fellas. Tier list. I'm looking for NHL teams. This is as much as I can do. NHL teams 2024, 2025. Okay, so we'll eliminate all the obvious pictures. Not doing much. I'm sorry, I should have had this done before.
It's all good. I mean, if you kind of want to talk it out and kind of see where everything's at and kind of determine it from there, we can do that. Or if you want to kind of do it on your own, and then we'll kind of separate them out and go from there? Whatever you want to do.
I'm almost done here. I'll just give me 1 second here. Stanley Cup champs, and then whatever this one is like mid. Okay, I think I finally got it. So I got
Okay.
5 tiers on my list.
Okay.
I don't think I'll be. I'm not able to show you because I made it on my iPad. So I
All
think we'll
good.
be able to visualize it a little bit. So we got 5 tiers on this list. I've got Stanley Cup champions. Only one team could get on that list on that one tier. And then contenders. Obviously, the top dogs, the top teams that I think will do pretty well. First round exits. I think that's pretty much explanatory. And then not doing much. This is a little bit of a tier list for like the team with the uncertainty of a couple teams because there's a couple that aren't like there yet. So yeah, why don't we get on with it?
Okay.
You said you didn't pay attention to it too much, right?
I didn't
Or the
pay
season?
attention. Yeah. So
Okay.
as my resident hockey guru, I'm asking you to educate me and who you think are belong in all of these tiers that you just made up.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I'll cook this up real quick. Colorado, mid, Dallas, Winnipeg, Edmonton. I think they're actually gonna be that one. I like Kansas contenders. Not doing much. Am I forgetting something? Okay, so I'm just scanning quickly through the teams that I've made the list of. Okay. All right. So we'll go through the teams that I don't think that will make it because we have 3 more spots left that are uncertain, but 2 of the teams can make it to the slot. So we have 1 team from each conference that won't be able to make it. And those 2 teams that I have right now currently are going to be the Minnesota Wild and Columbus Blue Jackets.
Okay.
Now, let's break it down real quick of what happens, what's been happening in their seasons, just so that you can understand just a little bit of what's going on. So Columbus, mid-team, didn't really do much. They're right now at a 38, 33, and 9 record, which is good for 85 points. -3 goal differential. They've been actually pretty good on home ice. Away, they've actually have not been. They have been pretty bad with 13, 23, and 4. So congrats to them, I guess, for being stupid. But they have been going on a 5-game win streak, so that's a little bit of a consideration into it. But I think there's gonna be another team that gets on top of that a little bit.
They've also had a bit of an emotional season, so
Yes, right.
I don't think it would be the end of the world if they didn't make the playoffs.
No, absolutely not. And I think
just call it a day.
I think the fact that they got this far, even without Johnny Gaudreau, rest in peace, by the way. I think it would be pretty impressive because I think the fact that they didn't really do much in the regular off season except for signing Sean Monahan to be with Johnny Gaudreau because that was his intention. But the fact that they're doing this and the fact that they're putting a lot of heart into it, even with Johnny Gaudreau's exit, is pretty awesome, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they're getting far. I don't think they're gonna make it. I think they're just gonna fumble the pooch, and I think Montreal's gonna get on top of them. Next little bit, it's gonna be the Minnesota Wild. Now
they're at the top of the wild card standings right now.
Yeah, but not by much.
I know. I just wanted to point that out. That's all.
No, that's fair. 92, 94, 96. Okay. So, Minnesota has 1 game left. They are at the top of the wild card spot by 1 point behind St. Louis and 3 points ahead of Calgary. Now, I think Minnesota's been okay this season. The Gus bus is back. Gustafson's been putting up good numbers as a goaltender. Kaprizov's back full-time, which is awesome. And I think the team has been doing pretty well, regardless of what they have been doing recently. Because they haven't been doing that well recently. 4-4-2 in their last 10, which is not great for a team that's trying to make the playoffs. So I think that they have a little bit of work to do if they want to make it. So they have to win tomorrow to be able to actually secure the playoff spot. And I think they're playing, if I'm not mistaken, who are they playing? They're playing the Ducks. So they can either yeah, we got this, or they're going to screw the pooch and lose to the Ducks, which is a possibility in all fronts. But yeah, it's really going to depend on how the Wild handle it. And I think the fact that Gustafsson has been doing pretty well. It's been a pretty emotional, pretty good season for them. But I think they're going to miss because another team's going to probably get on top of them. As for a couple other first-round exits, that's my next tier. We got Montreal and Ottawa, Oilers, and Calgary. So
Yeah,
Calgary's the team.
you were just shitting on the Canada teams right now that aren't at the top
Okay,
of the standings.
look. Okay. Look. I understand what your frustration is coming from, but this is my little take as to
That's
what
fine.
it might happen. So I don't want to do it like this, but it has to be done.
I appreciate your
if
objectiveness
if
to
Montreal wins, if Montreal gets to the playoff spot, guess who they have to play against? The Washington Capitals, who are second in the league. Alexander Ovechkin's coming out of a crazy season. All the other Caps are coming out of a crazy season as well. I just don't know if I think they're going to make it, but I don't know if they're going to be able to have. I think they have better odds to defeat Washington than Columbus, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got swept by them. So their first round exits for me, I think they're just going to do okay. Other one, the Ottawa Senators. Now again, they're having a good season, but they have to play either the Leafs or the Lightning, which I don't think I'll bet too much on. I think they're going to be okay versus them because they have Allmark, but I don't think they have the clutch players to be able to do so. I think Dylan Cousins might come out of his shell because it's going to be his first ever playoff run, which is going to be exciting to see. But it's going to be actually the first playoff run for all the Senators here, except for Claude Giroux, which he did for the Flyers in the past. But I think the fact that none of these players are existing from the 2017 run, and this is going to be a new stretch for them as a group, and especially for Dylan Cousins, who is going to be his first time, and also same with Thomas Chabot and Jake Sanderson, who's been their top two defensemen this year. I think there's going to be an awesome experience for them. If they go against Toronto, I could be persuaded to have them having a little bit of a chance, but if they go against the Lightning, I don't think they have any chance at all. I think they're probably going to lose. Edmonton. I am going a little bit of an out there take. I think they're going to lose against the Kings. I think it's as simple as that. I think these guys are pretty outstanding. They have the Kings. We'll talk about them when we get later on, but I think the Oilers are screwed. They have a bunch of injuries lined up. McDavid's still out. Hyman's out. Evander Kane's out. Matthias Ekholm is out for the entire playoffs. And you still have Stuart Skinner in net. So I know they came back from a 2024 run where they made it to the Stanley Cup final, but that was kind of a little bit of a fluke. And the fact they didn't address the goaltending issue, because let's just face it, Stuart Skinner sucks. He probably is the worst goaltender maybe in this whole playoff picture here. So I am not in favor of them. And again, we had a bunch of injuries from in the Oilers front office, which is not good for them because they have to rely on their depth. I don't think their depth is going to show up. Next up, the other Alberta team, Calgary. They have a chance to make it. I think they make that. I think they defy all odds, and I think they are going to make it. I think they're going to take Minnesota's place. Not as the first wild card. I think the Blues are going to get bumped up to first wild card, and then I think they're going to get second.
Okay.
But I think that the Blues have a chance here. I think they have, not the Blues. I think the Calgary Flames have a chance here because Dustin Wolf, pretty good rookie season. If the Calgary Flames end up getting the playoffs, I think Wolf has a pretty good conversation there to be able to win the Calder. Besides Lane Hudson, who's also been having a phenomenal season, and Malcolm Celebrini, who we obviously expected him to have a good season. But I think Calgary can make it. I think Dustin Wolf is going to carry them over the best he can. It's just going to determine the fact if Dustin Wolf can be that stellar goaltender in the playoffs if they have to play either Winnipeg or Vegas, which in my scenario, it's going to be ending up Winnipeg, but we'll have to wait to see how that turns up. And that's my first round exits. And then we have the mid tier, which I think these are teams that are not going to do as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made it pretty far. Okay. So that would be the Colorado Avalanche, the St. Louis Blues, the New Jersey Devils, the Florida Panthers, and the freaking Vegas Golden Knights. By the way, fuck you, Vegas.
What do you have against Vegas?
Yeah, but everything. I'm a Winnipeg Jets fan. What do you think I have against them?
Fair enough.
All right, let's start with Colorado. They have a roundup versus Dallas Stars, which could go either way. But I think that because I don't think they're gonna. Actually, they might actually now then be a first round exit then. I don't know. I just don't know what they're going to do. Because, by the way, big news over the offseason, Mikko Rantanen traded to Carolina, and then he got traded to Dallas. Makes sense. Fair enough. Colorado got a pretty good deal with Martin Necas. But, I don't see him getting that far at all. They lost Mikko Rantanen. The fact also, one of the biggest storylines that we haven't even talked about, Gabriel Landeskog, welcome back, buddy. Like, you made a pretty good splash with the Colorado Eagles a couple nights ago when you got that goal and assist on that second game back. So, congratulations. I hope you make a playoff debut. But if you can save your franchise, I would be pretty ecstatic for your team if you ended up helping them. But I don't think they're gonna make far. I am glad that they got a new goaltender and Blackwood, which is a lot better than Forgive. But yeah, I think that's pretty awesome for them to do. St. Louis, they've actually been an interesting one because they were not supposed to make the playoffs a couple weeks ago, but they went on this crazy streak that lasted for a long time, and now they are in a playoff picture. Their last 10, 7-2-1. They had like a crazy 13 or 14 game win streak, and now they are in pursuit to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think they might do okay. If my scenario adds up, they might face off against the Vegas Golden Knights, which I have them in the same tier as well. But I don't know. Like, again, like, this is an uncertainty for this team here, and I think they might have a little bit of a struggle, but we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised if they made it to the second round, but it could go either way with them in Vegas. Which, speaking of Vegas, I might as well just go into them right now. I think it made a pretty big downgrade with their backup being Ilya Samsonov, but I mean, he's working okay so far, which is surprising. Bruce Cassidy will get you a long way, but the team has to step up. 49, 22, and 9 for good for 107 points with a plus 54 differential. Last 10, 7, 2, and 1. They've been pretty good on the home ice, and they've been pretty okay on away. So they've actually had a pretty typical Vegas season, which is, besides that one that we all like to laugh and make fun of them about, which was like a couple years back when they didn't make the playoffs, even though they should have. But I think they had a pretty typical Vegas season. I think they're going to end up doing pretty well. But it really is going to depend on if they can win against St. Louis, if they end up playing against them. But we'll see. I don't know what the playoff picture is looking for them, so it's really going to depend. My take may change because they might have to play against Calgary, but we'll have to wait and see with that. New Jersey, sucks that you guys lost Jack Hughes. Now you're screwed. I mean, let's put it as it is. Dougie Hamilton's coming back. That's awesome. He was actually alive for like half of a season now, which on all Dougie Hamilton accounts, that's pretty good. Sheldon Keefe comes in as his first year as a tenure for the coach for the Devils. Awesome. I'm glad that you did well. Sorry, I'm still talking about Devils. Everything else, like, you got a pretty good solid starter in Markstrom, which is awesome. But I don't know. I don't see them doing much because, again, they lost Jack Hughes, so they don't really have a lot of star power. 41, 32, and 7, good for 89 points. They still have 2 games to play. A differential with plus 22, which isn't great. Their home games have been pretty disappointing. Like, it was 19-16 and 5, which isn't like the greatest. And they've actually been a pretty good away team with 22, 16, and 2. So it's really going to come down to the group as a whole. Like, you don't have your Jack Hughes anymore. You still got some pretty good star power in Nico Hischier. You still got Luke Hughes, and you still got Dougie Hamilton coming back. Brett Pesce, who's going to probably be playing some top line minutes. But yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. If Jacob Markstrom can't hold his front, I think the Devils have a chance, but I don't think they have a chance. Florida, it's not looking great because they had some injuries recently. Chuck's still on IR, which we haven't gotten any updates if he's going to play in the playoffs or not, but it looks like he's not. Brad Marchand just came back from his injuries. He's been looking okay. Kulikov, I think, is still injured. They have a couple other people that I think are down bad. But I wouldn't be surprised if they made it past one of Tampa Bay or Toronto. But 47, 30, and 4, good for 98 points, and they have 1 game to play. 27, 12, and 2 at home. 20, 18, and 2 away with a plus 33 differential, which is pretty good, except for the away record, which is pretty even. But they've been a pretty good team. And again, congratulations on your last year's Stanley Cup, I guess. But it's going to be a little bit of a slump. You guys just got to step it up a little bit and just make sure that you guys can do what you can to make it look better. And then my last team, I actually just switched up last minute because I realized that they are probably not, I don't know if they're going to be able to do much. Carolina, what the heck were you doing? I think we'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. I'm cool with that. That works for me.
Again, We got Devils in Carolina. What's going to happen? I don't know. Maybe you should not have traded Martin Nishis for a player that you traded right away.
Right.
Should have checked with Mikko Rantanen's agent, but that's neither here or there.
Okay.
Okay, contenders. I have 5 teams on this list. Dallas. Yeah, you're Dallas. Like, you're pretty good. You got Mikko Rantanen at the deadline for Logan Stankoven, which not the greatest on paper, but I mean, you're getting Mikko Rantanen. He has been okay, but the fact that you're going to get a line of Rope Hintz, Jason Robertson, and Mikko Rantanen is going to look pretty sick. 50, 25, and 6 with 1 game to play, 106 points. Good for a differential of 57. 28, 10, and 3 on home, and then 22, 15, and 3 on away. So they are not looking too bad. I think they're gonna make they are gonna be contenders. I think they're gonna be one of the biggest people to come out of the Western Conference. They have a chance to go to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but they have a different team that will make it. You'll have to wait and see. But I think they have a chance if they end up going to Stanley Cup Finals. I'm not surprised, but it's going to depend on if Mikko Rantanen can step up to the plate and be the player that he says he is. So we'll have to wait and see for that.
Okay.
I have 2 Atlantic contenders, the rest of them here, Tampa and Toronto. Now let's go to Tampa for a second because they end up letting go Stamkos last minute, which is kind of a little bit of an outlandish move, because you're getting rid of your captain, which the situation itself in general, like, it sucks. Like, you should not have treated Stamkos like that. And then you also traded Sergachev for this young guy. Forgot his name, but what did he replace with? The young guy that you got for the Sergachev trade, and Jake Gensel. So I think I think it was a little bit of a risk, but I think the risk has paid off. Because Jake Gensel has been pretty good for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Vasilevsky is back to his regular scheduled programming because he's been really awesome so far. Has making a case for him to win the Vezina, but he's probably not because he's going to go to Connor Hellebuyck. But they have a chance. I think they have one of the biggest chances to come out in the East. It's just really going to depend on Vasilevsky playing to his caliber and just everyone else as a whole just playing up to their standards. And I think it's also going to depend on their defense because they got Ryan McDonough back from Nashville, and then they also got Victor Hedman. So we'll have to see what they can do with that. And I think they're also their recent moves with getting Yanni Gourde and Andre Burakovsky was actually pretty good as well. So it's really going to depend on their depth, I think, because I think their top line is going to be pretty good. And I think their power play is going to be dangerous. And it's just going to depend if Vazzy can pull off a miracle with this one, if they're going to make it to a Stanley Cup.
Okay.
Toronto, I've talked about a bunch about them. I won't get into much, but if their goaltending can pull up, and if their depth can also pull up, I think they're going to look great. They just have to make sure that they're not going to be choking like every freaking year. But we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
3 teams left. 2 of them are in the contenders. One of them is in the Stanley Cup champs, which I have crowned biasly, but that's if that reveals anything.
I figured that was coming, so it's all good.
Yeah, but this is going to be surprising. I think the LA Kings have a chance to make it out of the East.
Okay.
Not the East,
the West. The West, yeah.
Yeah. Let's just face it. They're playing against Edmonton. Again. I think they're going to beat Edmonton in 7. It would be funny because, I don't know if you remember, the first time that they played against Edmonton was a 7-game series and they went to Edmonton. Okay? Next year, 1 to 6 games, again, Edmonton. The year after that, this past recent year, it went to 5 games to Edmonton. It would be pretty funny if they got swept by Edmonton.
Yeah, that would be pretty great. So,
but I think LA has a chance. They have the best team that they have to play against Edmonton. Kemper's been outstanding. Like, he's been a pretty good goaltender, and the fact that he got back to his roots was pretty good. And then everyone else is just playing pretty good. Brent Clark has been great. But Byfield has taken a step up, which is awesome. And a couple of the fact that we have PLD out and the whole cancer thing is resolved, I think that LA has a chance to make it out of the East, make it out of the West. But they have to pull their pants up and prove everyone wrong, which I think that they will. I think they have a chance to make it to the Western Conference Final, but it's really going to depend on if they can do it or not. So we'll have to wait and see with them. Were you about to ask a question?
No, I'm good.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good.
Okay, 2 more teams. Washington. I think they have a chance. I would be surprised. I would be pretty surprised and it would be pretty funny if they didn't make it out of the first round. But again, they got Alexander Ovechkin. They got Dylan Strome, who's been underrated. Like, I love Dylan Strome. He's been pretty good for them. And then their defense, they got John Carlson, they got Matt Waugh from Vegas, and then they also got Jacob Chikrin from Ottawa. They're pretty set, and if they can just if I can pull up his pants and actually score in the playoffs, because he didn't even get a single point last year versus the Rangers, which is kind of one of the reasons why they sucked against them. But yeah, I think they have a chance. It could be one of the final East teams, but it's just really gonna make it. It's just really gonna depend on if they can pull up their stuff together and actually perform. And then obviously my unbiased pick.
That leaves just one potential winner for the Stanley Cup,
and I think it's gonna be Winnipeg. I think they're gonna end up breaking the curse.
Okay.
I know Winnipeg has had a pretty bad couple years in the playoffs, but man, this team looks different. It feels different.
Okay.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it in my bones. If we have a Washington and Vegas, not Washington, Vegas. If we have a Washington and Winnipeg final, that's gonna feed families, man. That's gonna be an amazing series. Now, my wish is gonna be a Toronto and Winnipeg series, but.
Well, what are you gonna do in a situation like that? Are you gonna just?
I don't know yet, but that would be pretty cool if we got a Winnipeg, if we got an all Canadian, all Canada final, which would be amazing, and I think it would be entertaining and a great storyline. So I think Winnipeg has the pieces to prove everyone wrong, and I think that they will. We'll see if we're not going to get swept in the first round. I hope that doesn't happen.
Don't put that energy out there, and maybe it won't. So it's all good. All right. So we've got your playoff tiers. We've got your Stanley Cup winner. Patrick, is there anything else that you want to talk about from a hockey standpoint? Because I think we've covered pretty good ground.
We did do pretty good ground.
Well, you covered good ground.
I covered good ground, and you were just there to support me and pat me on the back. So I appreciate that.
I know, it's all good.
Yeah. No, I think we pretty much covered everything, and I appreciate being here. It's getting pretty late, and my voice is actually getting a little hoarse for me being passionate about trashing the Boston Bruins. So I think it's a pretty good place to wrap up here.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Patrick, thanks again for coming on and being my hockey guru and talking to me about all things hockey related. Where can the people find you if they want to keep up the hockey conversation? And do you have anything that you want to plug?
If you want to keep up the conversation in hockey, maybe follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Patric Klassen, and maybe send me a message. I don't know. I don't have a podcast for hockey, so that's pretty much. If you want to talk hockey with me, find me on my socials, and you can talk to me about hockey and what I love about it. And if you want to follow me on my podcast, just find me on Cantina Cuisine on Facebook and Instagram. Follow me on Spotify and Podbeam and a bunch of other places. I think I have also a couple other podcast things that I have alive right now. I just have to load up what I'm actually streaming on now. No, not podcast. I'm looking for Podbeam. Sorry, I should have had this planned out. Give me 1 second.
No worries, it's all good.
I know it's pretty late for you, so I don't want to keep up too much of your time. We actually finished it under 2 hours, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Manage. Don't want that. Didn't have any down. That's fine. Distribution. Okay. But yeah, you can follow me on go to podbeam.com. You can search me up on Cantina Cuisine, same as Spotify, Apple Music, and iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, and Boomplay. I'm all on there. So if those are your preferred podcast apps, then you could go there and follow me on there. And Cantina Cuisine. We have Clone Wars still we're covering, which is going to be pretty exciting. I think this week we're going to be releasing our Toydaria story arc, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, it's been pretty exciting so far. And we got some good stuff cooking up in the future, including maybe a future cameo from Mike Hilty again. And that's just going to be
me. You're going to let me back on your podcast? Okay, cool.
Well, I mean, it's going to take it's going to be a couple months. Probably going to be released sometime in December, but it's still going to come. So
okay, cool. I will take it. So, Patrick, appreciate your time as always, and
thank you so much.
We will see how these playoffs turn out for you.
I hope that they are good. I hope I made some pretty good decisions here. We'll have to wait and see.
I'm sure.
Playoffs start on Saturday. Make sure you follow your team, guys, and cheer loud, cheer proud, and screw the Burns.